Situated on the northwest coast of Washington State, Olympic National Park protects nearly 1 million acres of designated wilderness, containing wild rivers, lush forests, and mountain peaks. The United Nations have listed the park as both a World Heritage Site and an International Biosphere Reserve due to its many endemic species, its varied topography and ecosystems, and its unique formations of glaciers. These glaciers are unique in that they are the lowest latitude in the world where they are able to exist below 1,000 meters in elevation. Yet, this quality makes them particularly vulnerable to climate change.
My name is Bill Bacchus, and I'm a physical scientist at Olympic National Park, and I work as part of the North Coast and Cascades Network on a variety of long-term monitoring projects.
Bill has been studying and surveying these glaciers for over 30 years. He has contributed in 2 of the most recent comprehensive studies of glaciers in the Olympics. Now, thanks to data from the National Snow and Ice Data Center, we are able to visualize the extent of the glaciers during all 3 years these studies have taken place.
In the original 1982, we had 266 glaciers. In 2010, based on 2009 imagery, we had 184. By 2015, we're looking at 148 glaciers, and that's a 46%, almost a 50% decrease in surface area of the glaciers in the last 35 years. And I usually just say, to put it in perspective, I've been at Olympic National Park for 32 years. So since I've been there, almost half of our glacier area has disappeared.
These changes in the glaciers are already having an impact on park visitors.
These glaciers form these incredible, iconic backdrops to our national parks. And as national park managers, the visitor experience is really important. So I always think that that's kind of the first thing that people might notice is just these changes.
In July of 2015, my father and I hiked up to Anderson Glacier in the southwest corner of the Olympics to see these changes for ourselves. After the long climb to the top, we were shocked at what we'd found. This glacier, less than 100 years ago, used to fill the entire valley. However, it was now reduced to only a couple of small patches that remained in the tops of the cirques. In 2019, Olympic National Park renamed Anderson Glacier to Anderson Snowfield, as all of its permanent ice is now extinct, and losing a glacier means dramatic consequences downstream.
Really the most profound ecological impact and issue with this glacier loss is that our glaciers and our snowpack in the mountains is this reservoir of water for our dry summer months here in the Pacific Northwest. And so the loss of these glacial resources is really going to affect the amount and the temperature of the water in our downstream rivers and lakes.
Glaciers are a dominant contributor to many of the region's major river systems, including the Quinault, the Queets, the Hoh, the Elwha, and the Dungeness, all of which receive a portion of their water from glacial runoff.
Yeah, okay, so I'm Dr. Andy Bach. I am in the Department of Environmental Studies at Western Washington University. If this summer glacial meltwater disappears, we're going to have a huge drop in summer water supplies, which is the season of high demand for humans, both for agriculture, but we all water our yards and fill our swimming pools and things like that in the summer season. So we're going to increasingly have more and more water shortages down the road.
We are able to see what this future will look like by taking a closer look back at 2015.
Your average temperature in 2015 was about 4.5 degrees Fahrenheit above normal. But your precipitation was pretty close to normal, 93%. A little drier, but not really substantially. But you can see how this temperature change really profoundly impacted the amount of snow that was on the ground. So when you go back to these projections for the Pacific Northwest, this is going to be our average conditions in the year 2055 based on models. So 25 years from now, that 2015 winter is going to be our normal winter. So as managers of park resources, or if you're thinking about glaciers, you're thinking about salmon in streams relying on this, this pulse of cold water that's going to be coming into systems in the summer, it's going to be very different.
As we look to the future, we are going to have to accept that these glaciers are disappearing, and there is little to nothing that we can do.
It certainly appears they are on a one-way track out of here, unfortunately. The only hope, I think, would be if, well, one, if humans get our act together and mitigate climate change, but I don't really, or global warming, I really don't see that happening.
The Olympic landscape and the water contributions from snow and ice are going to be substantially different in the near future. So I have hope there'll still be glaciers, but it is not a pretty story, and there's going to be some very critical changes to our ecosystem.